Alright everybody, Solix Orion here. The power is currently out, but that doesn't change the fact that I just made a major breakthrough in figuring out what this graphics card is. So, I'm gonna go over to my desktop input. Alright guys, this is pretty funny. So you know how I opened the video in the background? Well, it started playing in the background, so you can't hear anything that I'm saying. So I'm gonna try to do some voiceover. Um, so... So this guy commented on the video, um, referring to the NEC multi-sync graphics engine. And he replied, and the comment was pretty rude, in my opinion. Starting off the sentence with "I wish you know more about graphics cards," pretty mean. But, but at this point in the video, so mean comment, but interesting enough. So that led me down a rabbit hole. I looked up all the part numbers I could find. I looked up every product NEC released between 1987 and 1992. I looked up every graphics card that used this specific chip's BIOS chip. I looked up a lot of things, but I couldn't figure out what it was. I couldn't find any documentation. So I went back through that video and something caught my attention. In this picture, I glossed over it originally, but basically saying what VGA is and reading the sticker, this device complies with Part 15 of the FCC regulations, blah blah blah. Anyway, I went back and I looked at that picture and I zoomed in, and I found the FCC ID, which of the card, which I then looked up the FCC ID and found the original application. When I went over, oh my gosh, is this playing in the background? Oh no. Found this FCC ID, H2B GSS-AT 1000, and I look up this FCC ID, and FCCID.io pops up. So this FCC ID application is for a video card. Description: a Class 2 change request must be submitted for this video card when Class B monitors become available, which are capable of operating at this card's highest resolution mode. By Spectra Graphics Corporation, guarantee code H2B, product code GSS-AT 1000. FCC ID, we can see that is the same as in our picture. We can see the product code is GSS-AT 1000, and the applicant business is the Spectra Graphics Corporation. Business address at Gemini Drive. Is that a 2026 reference? I don't know. Application purpose, original equipment class, same as the item description. Application ID, a bunch of letters and numbers. Final application date, 1989. That's June 29th, 1989. Model GSS-AT 1000. Responsible party, John Moreland. Equipment class, JBP Part 15, Class B computing device peripheral. Module, a bunch of no's and does not applies and not applicables. Applications, we've got this. Rules 15B. If we go back to our image, we can see that this rules Part 15 of the FCC rules and regulations, blah blah blah. We get an address, date of grant, and application dated. So, this was submitted on, Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, I am tired. So, final action date is June 29th, 1989, and the application date is Oh my gosh, I keep messing it up. Sorry. Final action date was January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August. Was on August 29th, 1989. And the application was submitted on June 29th, 1989. We get an address for the Spectrographics Corporation. Equipment attention John Moreland, not transferable. Equipment authorization is hereby issued to the named grantee and is valid only for the equipment identified hereon under the Commission's rules and regulations listed below. Blah blah blah. Grant note 16. This device requires shielded interference cables to ensure compliance. The user's manual must advise the user of this requirement. Mail to C. Kendall, CK Consultants Inc. That address somewhere in California. Okay, so I find this FCC ID application, EAS grant application, and a lot of this is interesting because a lot of it lines up with the card here. And so, of course, next thing I do is I look up the part number, which is GSS AT1000. And here it is. There's the AI overview. There's the FCC ID application we just looked at. Technology works, maximum amount of memory. There's a ton of stuff, but if we go to images, that's our guy. That's the one. That's the card. And I actually have not looked at this Reddit thread yet. So, this is as far as I've gotten so far. So, we're going to go on a little adventure. I'm going to look at the AI overview, but since it is based on literally one Reddit thread, I'm not sure what it remains. You can read up on Vintage Enthusiast conversations, view pictures of the 100. Okay, let's just look at this Reddit thread. This is as far as I've gotten. We have officially gotten farther than I have before. So this is our card, obviously. TMS 34010 means that it's probably a Tiga card. As a fun little game, I'm going to keep track of how many things I got right and how many things I got horribly wrong, so we can rate my original video. TMS 3410 means that this is probably a Tiga card. That's one that I got correct. I'm going to open these links in a new tab so that we can look at them later. Also looking at it more, it's a chipset for VGA booting as well, but it's probably dog slow when only the VGA part is used. For the Tiga portion, typically you would have a special driver for AutoCAD and the like. Now that is interesting because one thing that our commenter did point out is that this is a CAD card. This is interesting. I'm gonna continue looking. We'll get back to all of this in a second. Typically, we would have a special driver for AutoCAD and the like. The only thing I can find online about it is this issue of the Electronics magazine of Electronics magazine from September 1989. It says the GSS AT1000 is designed for the IBM Personal Computer AT and the MC1000, the microchannel architecture. Both controllers offer a resolution of 1024 by 768 pixels, improved performance for AutoCAD, Ventura Publisher, and more than 1,000 other PC application programs. Here are the drivers. It looks to be a rebranded. I can admit when I'm wrong. And it appears that now is one of those times. It appears that despite coming off as a bit rude at the start of the comment, this guy, Ian Cumming, appears to have got it correct. And I was wrong. So, let's continue. I am. Here are the drivers. It looks to be a rebranded NEC multi-sync graphics engine. Here's the driver link. I'm just opening all these links. Hopefully none of them are viruses. Site is focused on the MCA version, but the same software probably works on the ISA version as well. There's something about those zip package video DRAMs. We once got a batch from Micron with American flags printed on them, which would occasionally catch fire. Fun times. Expansion card, look here. Again, just opening all these links so that we can look at them later. Seems to be at least partially different. The diagram doesn't match the card, and the Texas Instruments chip is the wrong one. Probably a related or some sort of variant of the card is my guess. I remember that cluster of vertically soldered memory chips from that era. Pretty sure my Paradise VGA card from 1990 or 1991 had those. Sure, your card uses the TMS 34010 video chip, and I just saw the TMS 34020. Imagine having to run a trace on this bad boy. Looking at my webcam, PCB is pretty crowded. Like, we got RAM chips, we got the GPU, the BIOS, the VGA controller, another thing. We've got all of these ICs, we've got oscillators, jumpers, VGA port. We've got all of these things. Missed opportunity. Anyway, let's go back to desktop. Missed opportunity to run a few more bypass caps in there to the right of the lowest oscillator column of 3. Okay, that appears that that's the end of that Reddit thread. More pictures. There's the back. This is pretty interesting. I'm going to reply to this Reddit thread with my findings, which it appears have been perfectly documented in this Reddit thread. However, they don't have the application. So, let's take a look at these other links. NEC multi-sync graphics engine. This is the why are they socketed? So this appears to be some drivers. Technology Works AT1000. VRAM or DRAM. That doesn't look like it's the same thing, but same resolution. That is different processor. This one has 4 megabytes of RAM. This magazine, though, I think is going to be pretty interesting. Smart Choice, the Smartest Board Tester. Types. Technology. That's pretty interesting. And what a throwback. Memory makers may be rewriting the rulebook as they start building DRAMs at 4 megabits and beyond. The sheer complexity of the task could be a boon to US memories, which has already been which has a well-characterized process. AMD. First day gets left off the list. Intel's RISC-like chip for embedded application hits 66 million integer. What does MIPS stand for? 66 million instructions per second. That's pretty interesting. Here. CUDA in GSS NEC team up to accelerate windowing applications. Two display controllers developed by Graphics Software Systems Inc., Beaverton Orr, and NEC Home Electronics Incorporated, Wooddale 3. Oh my gosh, this is a tongue twister. Rev up graphics applications using Microsoft Windows, Presentation Manager, and X Windows. The GSS AT1000 is designed for the IBM Personal Computer AT and the MC1000 for the microchannel architecture. Both controllers offer a resolution of up to 1024 by 768 pixels and improved performance for AutoCAD, Ventura Publisher, and more than 1,000 other PC application programs. GSS designed custom hardware called PFM for pixel fill multiplier circuitry. Oh my gosh, where am I? For pixel called GSS designed custom hardware called PFM for pixel fill multiplier circuitry. Okay, I see. The GSS designed custom hardware called PFM for pixel fill multiplier circuitry assists the graphics processor to speed such functions as text writing, line drawing, and area fills, running them more than 3 times faster than on unassisted Texas Instruments TMS 34010 graphics processor. The controllers drive NEC multi-sync monitors, and they'll be sold as the NEC multi-sync graphics engine. GSS is licensing the hardware designs, firmware, and software to PC vendors for private label manufacturing. I don't know about you, but that sounds like exactly that. Let's keep reading this magazine. I don't know if there are any more mentions of it, but I'm gonna scroll through. I want a copy of this magazine. I know I could just control F, but I'm genuinely enjoying looking at this. I was born well after this. So I genuinely have never experienced electronics magazines this old. That's a headline, alright. Mainstream suppliers are rejecting jelly beans in favor of customized solutions. Once I'm done recording, I'm genuinely just gonna read this magazine. Goodbye analog, hello digital. Wow, how battery technology has advanced. Two amp hours for a double A? Supercomputers are on the fast track. Okay, Control F, GSS. Oh, there. GSS, 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 GSS. Okay, so that's all of them. No more mentions of it. That is very, very interesting. I want to get this thing running. I've done it before, but I've been having troubles recently. My version might be an older one. Okay, so I do have to cut this video off. Congratulations, Ian Cumming, on knowing that. I thank you for leading me on that path. I would appreciate it if you would maybe tone it a bit back next time. Because you know, thank you, and thank you so much for watching. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Stay tuned to see if I can get this thing working eventually. Because that genuinely would be a challenge. It is very sensitive to impacts and stuff. Go watch the original video if you haven't already. Thank you, Reddit. I will link this Reddit thread in the description of this video. And I've been kind of slowed down recently trying to edit this video about floppy disks and hard drives, and it's really sucked to edit, and I don't think that's going to be worth it. It might end up getting thrown out in the end, but I mean, this graphics card, this is a plot line that I am completely willing to follow. I find this quite interesting. And yeah, subscribe if you want to see this thing working. This is fun. Thank you so much for watching. Silix Orion signing out, and I will see you next time.